race at the stick. From who's got it better than us to brick by brick. It's always the 49ers way, from off-season to game day. Yeah, we talk back. It's the 49ers Cutback.
It's 49ers Cutback Podcast time. And, we talked about the offense already. Now we've got to talk about the defense and their scheme and how it's going to look with all these players that they kept. It was a very interesting 53-man roster they put together, an emphasis on D-line, which is not shocking. But Marcel Harris became a linebacker now. So I'm sure this signals a little bit about how the defense plans to attack offenses. And I said attack because I'm letting people know that is something that's going to happen.
You mean to tell me that DeMeco Ryans is going to scheme up an attack, offensive, defense?
Mm-hmm.
My goodness gracious. There's layers. There's layers to this defense
like
this year.
An onion.
Or a cake.
Or parfait.
Ooh, parfait. That was a nice one. Look, let us know. Not let us know, but get ready. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button right now. You can also let us know what you think the defensive scheme is going to be as we dive into this, because it's going to be a very aggressive defensive attack. aggressive. DeMeco Ryans has demonstrated already, especially during training camp, that they are going to go after the quarterback, go after offensive lines in a variety of ways with his blitz packages. We've seen a lot of sharp coming off the edge. We've seen a lot of nickels, safeties coming off of the edge as well. Talanoa Hufanga in the preseason game showing that. Sending Fred Warner, and Fred Warner's talked about this as well, like how aggressive, and he's going to be more of a blitzer this year than he ever has been in the past, which you'll love to see, for one reason and one reason only. It isn't just that Fred is an athlete, right, or these other guys have the ability to attack off the edge well. The 11 defensive linemen that they kept are going to be a problem for the rest of the league, and then you're going to be adding on the added pressure, right, of this linebacking core, of our nickel guy and shark off the edge, or whether it's our safeties coming down into the box. This is going to be way too much for offenses to be able to pick up every single time.
And it starts with that defensive line. I mean, since John Lynch got there is no mistake that the first thing they did was draft a defensive lineman. Now, they hit on the wrong one, 100%. But what they did was signaling where the emphasis needed to be. And it was on defensive line. It was on front seven. They want to get after the quarterback. That's why they went out and got D Ford when they did, because they knew they needed somebody coming off the edge. The Jimmy Garoppolo injury gets them Nick Bosa, and the rest is history. But you want to build around that defensive line and be able to attack quarterbacks. The most important player on an offense is the quarterback, especially the way the NFL has trended over the last few years. It used to be a running back could be a dominant player. That is few and far between now. You get the Derrick Henry, and then besides him, it's usually the quarterback pulling the trigger that's the most important player on the roster. So what you're trying to do is disrupt him and get him off his timing, no matter what that is, whether that is in the run game or in the pass game. You want to get him off. So what you do is you use these defensive linemen in different ways. So they've built the defense around the defense. Along the way, they've struck gold on other great players, whether that is getting guys who are veterans who are hurt or getting linebackers, through the draft. They've done a very good job of doing this. A lot of homegrown talent for the 49ers defense and a lot of very timely additions. And a lot of those timely additions are over the front in the defensive line. The way that they've constituted with the big guys in the middle that can stop plays in the early downs and the guys that can also attack through in the pass game on late downs, you have the speed element now that you didn't have last year. Last year, you were struggling once you had the injuries. You have Deion Jordan out there. You have Kerry Hyder out there. And it's a different style of defense, a successful defense overall, but a different defense. This is one of those things where everyone is going to be going crazy because they're going to go fast. It's going to be hardcore. They're going to get after it, and that's what's exciting to see is how they're going to be playing. I think we've been clear that we expect Bosa and Ford to be in there on third downs and bring pressure off the edge with Armstead inside, and who's next to them, whether it's Ebukam or Kinlaw in certain situations. It's going to be exciting to see how they get after the quarterback, but that's the number one goal of this defense is to get after the quarterback.
Yes, and you have guys on the D-line who are going to specialize in certain areas, right? They're going to specialize in how they attack. Arden Key is going to be a guy who's formidable in the run game, setting the edge, making sure that teams aren't able to get outside and create havoc and cause havoc, right? Like the 49ers run game tries to do to other teams, getting outside on the edge, those outside zone runs. Got a guy like Arden Key who can do that very, very well. Then you can talk about the interior, right? Guys on the inside that add something there. Maurice Hurst there to beef up, right? Zach Kerr, both of them, there to beef up that interior run defense. DJ Jones, healthy, going to be out there, going to improve that as well. And Javon Kinlaw, who we saw grow, right, as the season went on last year. Getting better, more diverse, more dynamic, stronger, better at keeping his pad level low, not getting pushed around or bullied in any way, shape, or form. He's already a big man. As he gets more comfortable with his body, he's only going to become more and more dominant there on the interior. So you add these pieces in, but then you can't forget about the Kevin Givenses of the world, right? And the Kentavious Streets. Each of them add their own dynamic in terms of what their strength is going to be when they're on the field. So when you got situations, right, where you have more of a run presence, Kentavious Street's going to be out there operating on that interior. And when you feel that you have a situation where maybe it's a run, but it very well could be a pass, you could throw a guy like Kevin Givens out there who has shown he can operate very, very well in the pass rush on the interior and get in there and cause some havoc.
Yeah, and you can mismatch. You can play these guys all over the place. You can play outside guys inside guys outside because of their athletic ability. And by doing that, it creates a lot of problems for a defense or for an offensive line because the defensive line can do whatever they want. You add games and stunts and the things that they'll be able to do, and that'll dictate to the offensive line what is actually going to happen. They'll have to slide protect, they'll have to move. And anytime you can put the offense in a position where they're being defensive and how they attack, you're doing the right thing. They want to be able to attack. They want to have that advantage. They know the snap count. They know the play. They should have an advantage. But when you're able to move around like that and use different skill sets and match up different players on offensive players, so if you have an interior guy that struggles, handling the bull rush, that's when you want to get him a Kinlaw or somebody that's real physical at the point of attack. So mismatch guys and able to move guys around gives you flexibility to attack weaknesses of offensive lines and put pressure on the quarterback. Anytime he has to make a hot read and something else, it's going to be hard for them. And the defensive line sets it up for everyone else. By the defensive line doing that, they're going to keep the linebackers clean. That's one of the key things. Keeping the linebackers clean from allowing second-level blocks. Make the eat-up blockers, that defensive line needs to eat up blockers in the run game, so that way the 49ers linebackers can flow freely. If they're able to flow freely, they're going to be able to make tackles and really stop this run game and stymie run games. And they have the guys that do it. The top two guys, Greenlaw and Warner, are complete hitters. They'll come in there, smack you in the mouth, be in the right spots, make solid tackles. If Al-Shaair can play to that level and he's able to win at the point of contact, this defense is going to be very stout against the run. If they're very stout against the run, that means they can pin their ears back on 3rd and long with D Ford, Nick Bosa, and these guys. So it works in tandem. It works together. The defensive line being successful makes it easier for the linebackers. We know it makes it easier for the deep half of the defense as well, that secondary. But first, that's how it starts. That front seven. If you win in the front seven, you're going to win football games. That's where they're going to do it. That's why they put all the emphasis on it. And then they've hit in the draft with 2 fantastic linebackers. And think about that. The other linebackers on the team are all undrafted free agents who used to be safeties that they developed into linebackers, developing homegrown talent. That's why I said this defense is about homegrown talent compared to every other position on the field.
And here's the best part, right? You talked about if the D-line, because that's where it starts with this group and with this team, and that's the identity, right? The identity is this D-line. That's why they keep 11 guys. That's why they have the 12th guy in Jordan Willis just waiting in the wings for his opportunity. But if your D-line is playing at that level, and it should be playing at that level because there's so many different ways to constitute and construct it that you're going to keep offenses off balance, you not only keep your linebackers clean, you make reads and opportunities for Al-Shaair to succeed a lot easier. Marcel Harris doesn't have to worry about second-level guys coming up and getting in his way. He's able to sit there and diagnose, right? Routes, schemes, where are we running with the football? He's already demonstrated and shown he can operate within the box. And that's the crazy thing now. With Marcel Harris moving in down from safety right into linebacker, you can give a traditional base down look with a guy who is a safety, traditionally a safety, operating with this team on certain downs and situations in which you're not convinced, right? This team's going to come out here and try to run the football here. They could go play action. They could give a look of that nature, or just go straight up, right? With a 3 or 4 wide receiver set, we can still operate in a base down set with Marcel Harris out there at the linebacker spot, picking up a tight end or something like that in space, or a running back coming out of the backfield, and feel very, very comfortable with the group you have out there, and also matching up and going man across the board.
Yeah, you're right, because if you have Jimmy Ward on the field and you have Marcel Harris together, Marcel Harris could easily go back to a safety position, and Jimmy Ward can go play in the slot.
Yep.
That's something he did early on in his career, and he's successful at that, and we've seen them do that sometimes. Kansas City in the Super Bowl, he did that as well. So you're right. It affords them the opportunity, if they're in a 4-3 defense, to still be able to kind of rotate into a nickel real fast. Flexibility is a key for every single thing on football, especially at every position. And like you said, that affords them that opportunity. It makes it harder to plan for them. You think you've got them in a precarious situation, and they're prepared for it. This is what the 49ers are all about, is versatility. They're definitely building that all throughout their team. And offense, we talked about it. Defense now, that is a very solid point that you made, because you're right. We're using those guys and those skill sets in that way. You can make it hard for an offense who thinks they have an advantage, and all of a sudden that advantage is erased by a simple adjustment. And all of a sudden, now you're not in a place of strength, but you're in a place of weakness.
And that's what you want if you're a defense. You want to put offenses in those situations on their heels, right? If the offense is on their heels trying to not stop you or even necessarily slow you down, but protect themselves from certain areas of attack, then they also cannot be at the same time attacking you in those other areas. If they can easily pick up those things or predict or guess when those things are coming, then they can wait for you to show it, right? And then go right after you and attack those points of weakness. Because when you're being that aggressive or that assertive and coming downhill at an offense and, attack, lowering the head and ramming it into the O, you leave yourself open as well.
Oh, yeah.
But the good news is like you talked about, is because of the diversity and the way that you can construct your attack at this offense, you don't show your hand. You don't show your tendency. You don't show when you're going. And that's the best part about the Niners, is with this D-line front, with this gold rush, you don't have to blitz. They're good enough to generate that pass rush all by themselves and slowing down the run game all by themselves. They can eat up those blocks and do all of those things already. When you add in the aggressiveness that DeMeco Ryans is going to bring to the table with the creative blitz schemes, right, the creative stunts up front and how they go about attacking, now, again, this is a situation where this defense doesn't have to create pressure this way. They're doing it because they want to create pressure this way. They're doing it because you have to now send even more, right? Keep even more guys in to protect on third and longs and things of that nature, because you don't know. You don't know, is this blitz coming here? Are they going to bring the house? Is a safety coming off the edge? I need to keep these extra blocker or two in case they bring this pressure. So now as an offense, if you start guessing wrong when the blitz is coming, you're going to leave 2 to 3 wideouts or a tight end and 2 receivers out there in space operating against what? 5-6 guys out there in space covering 3 dudes over the field. Good luck trying to find a completion. You're not going to be able to have enough time for one of those guys to get open.
Yeah, and you got a secondary that's been constructed now to be able to be more flexible than ever. Before you were running a cover 3, you were running that single high, and that's what you were doing. And everyone knew what they were getting, and you were just doing it better than everyone else. And you had the pass rush that could make it easy for you. You still have that pass rush, but now you have the flexibility of, I can run man coverage. I can run any zone coverage I want to run, and I know I can be successful. If I need to match up, one of my corners on them, I need to put Jason Verrett on somebody, I can lock them down. So you have that option now. You have 2 safeties that are very comfortable playing with each other in Tart and Ward. And right away, they don't have to cover very long. When you've got a defensive line like this, it makes the game easier. These guys are going to be able to go with their first reads. You're not going to have a lot of double moves. So you're going to be able to jump routes. You're going to be able to really push these receivers to beat you early on in press and all that. And press releases, not everyone's good at that. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting to see how they attack. And it's going to provide, like you said, situations to blitz. But the fear of the blitz is the most important thing. You don't have to blitz all the time. You just have to make them think you're going to blitz all the time. It's one of those things that you can get after it, and they can bring anyone at any time, and they've illustrated that in the preseason. We talked about the safeties being very active in the blitz early on in preseason. We knew it was going to happen. Some of the signings that they made, Tony Jefferson, for instance, he was going to be someone that could win in the box. Talanoa Hufanga, who they drafted, could win in the box through blitzes. Marcel Harris could win in the box through blitzes. But we were kind of given a look of what they were going to do. The fact that they can run man coverage, that means third down, you're going to get a lot of blitzing opportunities. You're going to be able to bring those guys. And you've talked about K'Wan Williams blitzing off the outside a lot because that's what he does. And he's successful at Ask Aaron Rodgers. But you get these opportunities and you can take advantage of them. And I think that's what's going to be fun, is because the key is getting off the field on third down. That is always the key. Now you can put in a defensive line package that has the speed rushers that we have. Bosa, Ford, Armstead, Ebukam. Now they can get after you. You have the line. Now Fred Warner, he doesn't have to spy because you have the speed that can run these quarterbacks down, which means he can be in coverage or he can be blitzing, which is big because a lot of times he had to kind of watch where Russell was, watch where Kyler Murray was, and now you don't have to have that. So it's going to change coverage. You have an extra defender out there. The whole game changes. Getting off the field is important, and making sure you can run man coverage in those situations, which they couldn't do before, was part of the problem. So now the game changes, and now they can get off the field more and better than ever.
Cannot forget either the fact that Samson Ebukam, guy who's going to be playing a traditional defensive end pass rushing role, can also drop out in coverage. We've also seen Nick Bosa do this as well. So now you can give looks in situations set up right where you've given that light speed package that we have of these guys out there in space. Ford on one side, Bosa on the interior on that same side, Ebukam on the opposite side. Give those looks, give like an all-out blitz look, right? I need to get this thing out quick and fast, and then drop these two out into coverage as well and completely catch somebody off guard. This is something the 49ers have done with Bosa in the past. Yeah. We've seen it. This is something that they can do at an even higher extent with Samson Ebukam. So now, as an offensive coordinator, you're looking at this and going, yeah, the blitz can be coming at any point in time, right? But also, the blitz can be coming, and it could be just a smokescreen because the blitzer could just be replacing a pass rusher dropping out into coverage. And so now you're you're disguising a blitz package that isn't really a blitz package because you're going to have the same amount of guys normally covering and normally rushing the passer. And a quarterback could guess wrong, an offense coordinator could guess wrong, call the wrong thing at the wrong time, and it leads to big opportunities for the 49ers to maybe create turnovers, but even if they don't create turnovers, right, kill momentum of drives. 3rd and 5s, things of that nature, intermediate stuff, where, oh man, the pressure's coming, we got to make a quick decision, get this thing out quick. Actually, no, the pressure wasn't coming. It was all a smoke screen, and now you've fallen right into my trap. Thank you so much. Right, we get off the field, like you talked about. And when we're getting off the field in those situations and killing drives for the opponent, now you're setting Kyle Shanahan up in a position, and this offense up in a position where they don't necessarily have to have an incredible drive, right? But they just need to sustain. And with this 2-quarterback system, right, and having Trey and having Jimmy, sustaining and extending drives is going to be easier for them than it's ever been in the past.
That is 100% true. And showing those double-A blitzes with Dre Greenlaw and Fred Warner, and then people being able to bail out. And this week in practice, you know who the defensive line worked with? The secondary coach. So they're working on coverage schemes and being prepared for those opportunities to zone blitz. I don't think you see them that much, but when they happen, they're going to be hard to stop because you're right, they have the talented players. And we've seen every one of those guys drop off into coverage at some point that have been with the 49ers before, whether that's Ford and you're right, Ebukam has that ability. So there's going to be a lot of games that they can play up front and it puts the pressure on. We talked about this in the offensive one, speeding the clock up for the quarterback. You speed up the process to where he thinks he needs to make a decision quicker than he should. It leads him to do two things, either make a mistake or just be errant. And when you do that, you're going to leave yourself opportunities to make plays. And we've talked about this defense needing to make plays, and one of those ways is to make sure you always attack and keep pressure on the offense so that way they make mistakes. You don't have to make great plays when you can force the opponent to make a mistake. Sure. That's where it's at. They got to play perfect to beat you, and when you force them to do things and they're not perfect, you win football games. Win that turnover battle, win football games. And it all starts with that front group and how they get after it. The fact that you have the best football player in the NFL as far as defensively in your linebacker core definitely helps. So I'm all about this defense and how they're going to attack. And I think it's exciting the fact that they're going to be attacking. Robert Saleh unveiled some of that last year. And I think DeMeco Ryans is going to take it to another level. They weren't able to completely do this to Russell Wilson continuously, but for the first 3 drives of both games that they played, they completely stymied him. And then the Seahawks would adjust. Saleh would kind of back off. I don't think DeMeco Ryans backs off. I think he keeps going after him, keeps getting after it because he comes from that defensive mindset.
But he also doesn't have to. Saleh at times last year had to back off because of the injuries they had in other areas, right? You didn't have the speed to attack the way you needed to attack, and so you were leaving yourself exposed, vulnerable, extremely vulnerable, trying to run man with some of the corners that we had last year. You just didn't have the ability to do it, right? And you had Whiskey Tart at times out and not on the field as well. And guys injured. It was a revolving door of injuries. That's not the case this year.
No.
And you've also gone and addressed those things in the draft. Free agent signings at the safety position. The safety room is deeper now than it's ever been.
Agreed.
Cornerback room isn't as deep as we all would like it to be, but it's definitely not as weak as some people are saying it is.
No, it's not. It's got some depth, and it's got young players that are stepping up in a big way. I mean, and you got those top two guys you feel comfortable with. I think Deommodore Lenoir is quickly becoming a guy that we can count on. And then you're not going to count on Ambry Thomas this year, but you don't have to count on him because you've got somebody that's a seasoned veteran like Dante Johnson that can come in and spell you. You don't want him to play multiple games as your starting corner or anything like that. But if he needs to come in for a couple of plays, or end of a game for K'Wan Williams or for Emmanuel Mosley, you know he can go in there and at least get it done. And then Ambry Thomas will develop, and eventually he'll be able to get in there and play. And that's what you're hoping for is next year that him and Lenoir can be successful. But you have a very good cornerback group. K'Wan Williams is one of the best nickel corners in the league. Jason Verrett is one of the best corners in the league, and he's going to prove it this year. And then Emmanuel Mosley is still a guy that's up and coming, and a guy that plays a lot better than sometimes he has played. 2019, I think we saw a glimpse into what he could be. I think this year he takes a step forward. I think it was a nice pickup. He's going to play fantastic in front behind this defensive line. I think that helps a lot too. But I like his skill set overall, and I like his development. It's another guy that they picked up late that they developed.
Absolutely, and they've done a great job of that, and they're going to continue doing a great job of that because this coaching staff is in place, right? Even though you're, I guess, head honcho, right? He's gone and moved on, and Robert Saleh, DeMeco Ryans was essentially an understudy, worked with that linebacking core, got them to where they are right now and where they currently are constituted and where they sit, and now is going to be able to take those weapons that he's helped create, take the weapons that Chris Kasarik has been developing, and turn this into an absolute nightmare, right? It's going to be a feast for the 49ers, hopefully every single week when they show up to face an opponent's offense. And if you're an offense, right, your offensive coordinators already have, your defensive coordinator, for your opponent every week is already having hard enough time as it is getting ready and getting prepared for the 49ers offense. Now, if you're the defense, right, if you're that offensive coordinator for the opponent, you're looking at this 49ers defense and being like, I got it just as bad.
Where do you attack?
You have to attack somewhere, right? And so now you're having to choose where you're going to be most aggressive and to try and assert yourself to swing the tide in your favor. And if you're the 49ers, you can just go full out on both sides of the ball and not have to worry about it because, right, if one side struggles, the other side can pick you back up.
Yeah, and I guarantee every single offense is going to say when they're going to play the 49ers, we do not want to be third and long, ever. I mean, you don't want to in general, but third and longs against the 49ers might as well be a punt. I mean, you might as well just quick kick because it's going to be hard to convert those because that defensive line is going to be able to get after you. D Ford, Nick Bosa, and the speed coming at you. Quarterbacks ain't going to have a lot of time to think. And if for some reason that teams are being successful against the 49ers on third down, we're in trouble.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that is going to be the key. If the 49ers get early stops as far as on the run game, stopping these run games from getting going, and they're able to win on first and second down, they're going to get off the field a lot. They're going to give the 49ers offense a lot of opportunities to score, which means a lot of points and a lot of big lopsided games. That's what you're hoping for. But I don't know. I'm looking for the weakness on the 49ers defense. And if you're talking about starting defense, I don't see a lot of weaknesses. Maybe the Sam Backer is probably the biggest weakness. And other than that, there's not a whole lot to go on. So as long as they're healthy, it's going to be hard to attack them. And can you really count on attacking at Aziz when you got Fred Warner and Dre Greenlaw alongside of him? Correct.
It's going to be very, very hard to do that. And you know what? There are other solutions that DeMeco Ryans has that haven't been unveiled that very well could be, that nail in the coffin for an opposing team's offense. You thought you had an area of weakness you could attack. Wrongo, you have no areas of attack. And now you're just trying to get yourself not into, like you talked about, those third and long situations. But that's definitely going to be the key thing to watch for 49ers fans throughout the year. Third and longs, how many times are we getting off the field? How many times are drives being extended? The more third and eights and third and 10, third and 12s, third and 13s, things of that nature that the Niners are finding themselves in and getting off the field, we have not just a good thing going, a great thing going. Because if we're able to put teams in those positions and then get them off the field and get the ball back, right? Or a team starts to drive down the field, you get a couple of sacks, right? A couple of stops, a couple of tackles for losses, and now a team just drove down the field. They got themselves to the 30, and now they find themselves at the 35 or 40, having to settle for a long field goal. Not all of those field goals are going to go the way of the opponent, and if they're not going the way of the opponent every time, that leaves and cracks that door open for the offense to put one touchdown in and completely change the momentum and the swing of the game.
Yeah, and I think the key is all they have to do is be stingy on third down, create turnovers, and get after the quarterback with sacks. And if you do that, a lot of times you're going to get off the field. And if you get off the field, you're going to win football games. And I think that they're going to do that. I think we're going to see a lot of turnovers this year because I think these sacks early on in the season are going to kind of cause quarterbacks to get a little bit, gun shy, and then ultimately make some mistakes, throw some errant footballs that they shouldn't, create turnovers, and then you have guys around the football all the time, Dre Greenlaw, Fred Warner, and also Marcel Harris, that attack the football when it's in their arms. They're going after, trying to strip it. Avenues for turnovers. You get that plus turnover battle, and you're going to win football games more than not. And I have a feeling that these guys are going to do it.
I agree with you there, man. All signs point to it. Let's hope this defense stays healthy. Let's hope we are able to continue to attack the way that we want to attack, because if we can, it's going to lead to nothing but success. And speaking of nothing but success, we can't have the success on this channel that we have without you, Cutback crew. So thank you for everything that you're doing, whether it's subscribing, just commenting down below, commenting during premieres, commenting during live streams, sharing the video, liking the video, no matter what it is. We appreciate everything that you've been doing. You've been helping pump this content out to the rest, right, of the faithful out there, bringing in new people and new members of the Cutback crew. We cannot thank you enough for all of that support that you're showing us and really helping us grow this channel.
Yeah, 100%. And there's more avenues than ever to get involved. Whether that is you becoming a channel member or going and joining the Discord, getting involved with all of our socials, going over to the 49ers Cutback shop where you can get some sweet merch, or joining Patreon where you're going to be getting all 22 film breakdowns all throughout the year, and you're going to be getting preview breakdowns as well. We're going to break down the team we're going to play, plus original content, whether it's 49ers Cutback in Time or Big Yikes.
Good old Big Yikes.
Plus fantasy football and Madden as well. And I'm sure there'll be other things that are going to be added on all platforms eventually. We're just working and diligently trying to put out as much 49ers content as possible. And there's a lot of good stuff that you can get right here on YouTube, whether it is our daily shows at 11 or Face Off on Mondays at 9 a.m.
Face-offs on Mondays at 9 a.m. It has been absolutely a blast. It's been a lot of fun. Chat has been really lively during those, so make sure you are here and tuned in for those. Also, you can come on over Sunday. We're going to have a live premiere, or not a live premiere, but a premiere, on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. and then immediately afterwards, a members-only live stream. So if you want to participate in that, we're going to have a fun time just having a nice little Q&A session and talking with the new members of the Cutback community. Make sure you become a channel member as well. Link in the description down below. But like you said, Ant, more ways than ever to engage. Doesn't even have to be Discord. Doesn't have to be these videos. It can just be our socials as well. So make sure you take advantage of all of the avenues we're creating for you, because we want to grow this community. We want to have these conversations and to keep pumping out this incredible content.
Yes, and you don't have to do any of it. If you just want to watch, if you just want to like, that is fine. Just do that. We are very happy to have you do that. It's just if you would like to get involved, in more ways, go ahead and do that. So we love having conversations, and I love seeing all the people that I recognize and all the other areas too of 49ers football. I'll go on a live stream and I'll see everybody there commenting and stuff. It's cool to see.
It's absolutely fun to see. It's a blast to jump between platform and platform and seeing everyone still engaging and interacting. It's a lot of fun. This is a great community. We hope you join it today. And until next time, 49ers fans and the faithful, you stay safe.
Remember, the right way
is always the 49ers way.